I think Nebraska has a chance. You know, I am a Kool-Aid drinker.
Your passion.
Guys, this is the year we beat the hell out of Iowa.
Your reaction.
Go Big Red, baby!
Here's Morgan looking to the end zone. Throws to the corner. Caught in the corner of the end zone by Mike Brown-Stevens. The give to Yin. It looked like he tripped up before he got the football. And the Gophers make the stop. From Minnesota, the fade to Altman-Bell. Flag. And touchdown.
This is Real Red Reaction.
Welcome to it. It is Real Red Reaction with ESPN Lincoln, FM 101.5, 1480 AM. ESPNLincoln.com is where you stream us, and can also watch us on different platforms with Facebook Live via the StreamYard on ESPNLincoln.com, KFORNow.com, 96kicks.com. And Tim Bob Kitsmiller in studio, Elijah Herbel in studio, the Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman. He was trying to escape and go wander in traffic like many of you, wearing red and white today. Numbers to get in. The phone lines will be open, and we'll go as long as you want when it comes to therapy. We're
as long as it's not more than 8 or 9 minutes.
We're here in Minnesota. We are 0-3 on the road this year. I will take that one, but the Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline open for you, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865.
All right, I'm going to call in. I told you if things didn't go well, I'd be the first guy to call.
Take your headset off. Tim, Bob, good to see you. Elijah, good to see you. And there's so many things to unpack here from the first half to the third quarter. To red zone situational football, play calling, execution, penalties, special teams. It was the full buffet of hell today for Nebraska football in a game they could not lose, they can't lose. And as you hear the open with Real Red Reaction, you had one of the callers call in a few years back say this is the year you take Iowa down. Well, it's going to happen if you want to go somewhere other than O Street for the holidays. And guys, and you look at social media, and it's on fire right now with directed towards Coach Frost, directed towards Adrian Martinez, who had just a horrible day. Did hit some passes. I guess if you're going to be positive for 2 seconds, Austin Allen was incredible. The defense played wonderful in the second half, but man, it was just a heartbreak for Nebraska again, and they did it to themselves.
Well, let's say on the positive note, Adrian Martinez has made Austin Allen a hell of a lot of money when the NFL draft in next season rolls around, because he is going to be one of the great tight ends in the NFL for years to come. That guy is a great football player. The game began, I told you this shortly after the first 2 drives of the game. It began exactly the opposite way Nebraska needed it to begin. The Huskers needed a good opening drive to put some points on the board. They needed the defense to go with a 3 and out and to kind of set the tone, and everything went Minnesota's way in that regard. And that really kind of set the tone. Minnesota had a lot of juice right out of the gate, and Nebraska gave them even more. They kept those juice boxes full, and just did not put anything together cohesively in the first half. Everybody was talking on Twitter and wherever you peruse social media. Nebraska's defensive line was getting manhandled. There's no doubt about it. Minnesota's getting 7-10 yards per play. Tanner Morgan, I think, had one incomplete pass in the first half and only 4 incompletions.
Set a school record, 15 consecutive.
And then he threw 2 interceptions and still didn't have a ball hit the floor. Everything just seemed to go Minnesota's way, and exactly the opposite of what Nebraska needed to do. Yet, in the second half, they made whatever adjustments defensively. The effort was a little bit better. There was a little more spirit. There seemed to be a play-calling rhythm in that third quarter, especially with the wind behind. and it looked like, you know what, they may just climb out of that hole and see the sunshine. And then all of a sudden, look, I'm a Scott Frost guy, and I believe in whatever decisions they have, and whoever's heading up the program, I'm going to be behind. But I still do not understand, and I do not know where the scientific thesis with graphs and pie charts is that says if you have the ball 1 inch away from the goal line, that you don't put your quarterback under center and have your Fred Flintstone-sized tailback behind him, pushing him in like Reggie Bush did to Matt Leinart, which is now legal. I don't understand how you don't have Adrian under center taking the snap on 2 consecutive plays if you have to, just to lean in to get that touchdown. That game completely changes if Nebraska takes the lead.
Yeah, you go from down 21-9 at half to a chance to knock on the door with 2 straight defensive takeaways, Tim Bob. And you've seen a lot of football as well, Bud. That's embarrassing for Nebraska football to not go under center on 4th and inches, 4th and goal, and take the lead.
Oh, I agree. You go under center.
I need to hear Tim Bob.
Hold on. Am I better?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Am I? Can you hear me now?
I do know this. Whatever Tim Bob is saying
Is great.
and I respect everything that's on his mind. But, perhaps
One more time, Tim Bob.
it should be fair.
perhaps he's being a little too
All right. Can you hear
colorful.
me now?
We got you now. Go for it.
Well,
We had a
the
false
biggest
start.
thing is
We
down
too
the
can
goal
have
line,
false starts.
I agree 100%. You get under center, you push the guy, you got the 235 tailback behind you, push the ball over the line. I think when Williams goes out with that injury, Gant is big enough to make that play, but he's got to. It's emblematic of the whole season, right? A play here, a tackle here, a stumble, a fall, just can't get over the line. They can't out of their own way. It's maddening.
Absolutely maddening. Elijah, you're an offensive lineman. You shot us a few texts. We were a little bit further away than you were in front of the 50-inch, but it was absolutely mind-boggling just where Nebraska was at with their offensive line. Again, the interior got beat up, thumbs down from some Nebraska fans. Just a dejected group of red and white here. Not a hostile environment at all today. It was invite only. It wasn't quite family and friends. It was a few more folks, but it was there for the taking for Nebraska. But to you, Elijah, with what Nebraska didn't do today, and Tim Bob, you're right on about driving forward. I mean, Scott, we'll hear from Coach Frost here in a little bit. Here's post game. But Nebraska, we all thought to a guy here that Nebraska would be ready to come out and seize this opportunity.
Yeah, and to me, this was a loss that was 100% on the players. They didn't come out with any energy tonight. Or I should say this morning. It was the offensive lines just getting manhandled on both sides. The Minnesota defensive line beat the Nebraska offensive line. The Minnesota offensive line beat the Nebraska defensive line. There were good play calls in there, and it was just poor blocking. There was Adrian Martinez missing guys high all first half for some reason. This loss, I don't think you can put it on Coach Frost. And I understand people are mad, but it wasn't a bad game plan, I don't think. I think a lot of offensive plays were there for the taking. It was just a Minnesota defensive lineman beating his block. It was a Nebraska offensive lineman being unable to get up to his linebacker who he's assigned to go block on that play. It was poor effort all around, poor energy from this Huskers team today. That's what I saw with my own eyes, was the fact that this Nebraska team just did not have life up there in Minnesota today.
It took them a half to get going, and finally you had something good happen where you get a 50-yard field goal from Culp. You get a turnover to get some points in the second half, and it's a situation where Nebraska just could not cash in. They had a chance to seize control of the football game. They didn't. More response from you. Can dial us up here on the Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Justin chimes in, says, Frost said the team was going to put everything into this game. You can't blame the O-line. Martinez isn't helping them. Step up in the pocket, go through your progressions. He's slow with that. Brennan chimes in, and Brennan's kind of been the guy with the magic 8 ball, so to speak. Fellas, so many things today. Special teams yet again. Is there concern with Adrian's field vision? So many times this year he's been a second behind or completely missing his targets and not aware of his surroundings. Philip chimes in. It's time to see what we have in Harburg. And Jeremy also checks in and says, you know what, I'll be completely honest, the biggest issue in this game was the fact of the kicker. Those misses don't help the team. Those were points that were missed, which I think was like 5 points, and then the safety didn't help either. So solid points by so many. Over 20 points. Andy chimes in on email, chris@halevarsity.com. Andy's math says there was 20 points of opportunity. Phone's been a little fuzzy. Nebraska in the red zone did what? They had the 2-minute drive touchdown when they were down 14 after Minnesota popped that big run to make it 30-14. Nebraska countered with another score and didn't get the onside. But you had Yant stopped. You had Adrian stopped. You had
Ramir Johnson. I'd like to go look at that replay, and somebody mentioned, there was helmet-to-helmet contact there when Ramir Johnson got hit at the 1 yard line and had to go out, and then Yant came in for those last 1 or 2 plays when it was fourth down and less than an inch to go to get into the end zone. I would certainly love to see a replay of that. Again, from our angle, we were kind of situated behind that end zone, so we didn't have a perfect angle of it. And as we did watch one of the replays, nor did the referee, the linesman, on when Adrian Martinez was turned away, and I know that they reviewed it and said that the call was going to stand, but the linesman was actually kind of about the 3 yard line and comes in at an angle and says that Adrian got stopped. So he wasn't on the goal line either. You can see that on the replay. But Ramir Johnson got dinged up because of helmet-to-helmet contact, and you don't see it in that situation? I mean, come on.
You have Anthony chime in. Adrian cannot make such big mistakes at key times in the game. Can find us 466-377-6 or 800-825-5865. It's been such an up and down season. You've been close against those ranked teams. This was when you had to have. You have 2 weeks now of I'm going to call it poison because the fan base is furious. The team's got to sit on this till Purdue. And it's slim to none and slim bolted town, potentially with your bowl hopes. And this kind of, I don't know, a whole gallon of white out on the progress we've been talking about since that opportunity Nebraska had at Michigan State, post-Oklahoma, Michigan. I don't know. Tim Bogg, where are you at with this? Is the optimism dashed for you as a guy who follows Nebraska?
I was thinking about this earlier. How do you bounce back from this? I mean, how do you bounce back from this, I don't know, disappointment? It's like like Elijah said, they came out like they could roll their helmets out there and win the ball game in the first half. Minnesota had a great game plan. Went 8 men on the line. They went big, heavy. They ran the ball at you. And Martinez and the offense was just like non-existent. It was like, hey, we played so well against Michigan, we're going to go up there and beat Minnesota. All the optimism. I don't know how you bounce back from this. I really don't. I really think that I'm foreseeing what the backups got and looking ahead. Great, you can beat Purdue. I think you can beat Wisconsin. Can you beat Iowa and Ohio State? Man, not with this kind of play.
I don't know. I mean, I would think they can beat Purdue. I don't know anymore. I really don't know anymore because, guys, this was supposed to be, your season saver, and each week it's gotten bigger and a new twist and a new opportunity and a new chance to get it righted. And you knew it was going to be tough against Minnesota on the road. As a few Husker fans are rolling in now. Oh, I hear you. She's just shaking her head. So we're from Nebraska.
Well, football is hard.
We got a warning. We got a stern warning from a Nebraska fan, and just utter disappointment. Nebraska fans travel so well. They still travel well, and they are headed towards their room, towards a cooler. And it is just absolutely devastating. Guys, Frost is going to get lit up for this. Adrian Martinez is going to get lit up, and let's go there. All right, 466-377-6800-825-5865. Adrian is he's make or break. He's boom or bust, and he just never looked comfortable. In between the 20s, Nebraska hit a lot of gash plays, but Elijah, brother, once you get inside that 20, Nebraska had a couple of touchdowns, but when push came to shove, Nebraska could not find a way in. And when it comes to throwing the football, Adrian, when the pressure was off, he was hitting some throws. When you're down 2 scores, who the hell cares, right? I mean, and Minnesota's giving you cushion. He missed so many, and then that safety is just inexcusable. He had 4 seconds to throw the football.
Yeah, at the end of the day, what this came down to is the fact that Nebraska did not want this game as much as Minnesota did. You can move the ball inside the 20s, but when Minnesota needed to make a stop, Minnesota made a stop inside the 20-yard line. When Nebraska needed a stop, they got it for 1 quarter, for the third quarter, but for 3 other quarters, the first, second, and fourth quarter, Minnesota wanted it more than Nebraska, and they got the job done. We talked about this on the pregame show this morning. When was it going to happen that Nebraska was going to have their off game? When was Nebraska going to regress back to some old tendencies? It was today, and it was because I'm not sure if they were looking ahead to the bye week. I know fall break is Monday and Tuesday for UNL students. Maybe it's those 2 things combined, but Nebraska did not look like they wanted to be in Minnesota today. They did not look like they had the effort that it took to go take down a good Minnesota team. Maybe they overlooked them. Maybe they didn't think Minnesota was that good. Maybe they were just looking ahead to a bye week and getting some rest. I don't know what it was, but Nebraska did not look like they wanted to be on that field. They did not look like they wanted the win as much as they did in the past 5 weeks.
Let me back up and say Martinez is what he is. I mean, he is what he is. He's a phenomenal athlete who is dreadfully inconsistent, who doesn't
Streaky
is a good word, but doesn't step up in the biggest moments. I mean, let's face it. He is what he is. You can say he's a warrior and he's fought through, and I know Scott Frost has defended him, but he's a quarterback who is not that guy that says, hey, there's a minute left and we're going to go win the football game, and he just can't. He hasn't done it, and, that's just the facts. I mean, I'm sorry. I think the kid is a great person. He's shown a lot of character, but as a quarterback, he's not the guy that's going to go get you a win in a 1-score game, and he's proven time and time again.
I hear you, and I hear what people are typing right now. But you go back into Husker history, and you think of quarterbacks that have played well. You think of quarterbacks who have taken the heat, and I can go way back to Mark Maurer and Turner Gills around. This situation. I try to think, who does Adrian remind me of in terms of past quarterbacks? I've thought about Jerry Godowski in terms of his ability, or Keithan McCant along those lines. There is an element of Mike Grant in there as well, and that's the one that's coming to me. Mike was a great athlete, nice guy, became a pretty good football coach. There's no Tommy Frazier sitting on the bench waiting for the opportunity to go into Columbia, Missouri, of all places, and make his first career start, and all of a sudden transform Nebraska football for really the better part of a decade. I know Logan Smothers is a gamer, and Heinrich Harburg is the hometown hero that we all are anxious to see, a starting quarterback from Nebraska. But Adrian Martinez, he is the leader of this football team. He is who these players look to. He is who Scott trusts in this moment. Nebraska is now 3-5, and he shows flashes of brilliance, but he also shows once or twice a game in situations where it can be incredibly costly when it comes to a football game. And let me go back to also the start of this game. I'm not necessarily in agreement with Elijah saying, well, they didn't look like they wanted to be there. It looked like a team that was really, really dispirited. And I could see Nebraska having a down day, but it just maybe it is the tragic situation around Coach Shenander that is did weigh. That's really going to weigh on a football family, on anybody. But there was just a spirit that wasn't there, and I'm not going to say it was a lack of energy or lack of want to. There was just a listlessness that seemed to be. I don't know how to put my finger on it, but it wasn't one of those deals where I think they just came up here to mail it in.
Guys, when I look at Adrian with the roller coaster that is, you've seen there's been a case that's been built. You've got 4 years of him. There's been talk. Do you want him back for a 5th year? Do you let him play out his string here? Because you've seen the good and you've gone, wow. He has kept you in it. And this past week and Michigan week and post-Michigan, it was, man, he really did a lot of amazing things. But when push comes to shove, there's a fumble. When push comes to shove, there's a safety. When push comes to shove, there's, do I cut it up and run into contact, or do I try and skirt outside? Maybe he's directed to do that by Mario and Frost and Lubick. We don't know. I just know that, and I'm not questioning his toughness because he stands in there and he gets drilled. He's been drilled a lot. That said, I just, when it comes to running the ball, there are some times where he can tuck and run and scramble, and since the hit to the jaw against Michigan State, he's really not done that. I mean, he had the one scramble against Michigan. You didn't see him doing much of it. I mean, there's a couple of option plays called, but he ended up pitching. So you didn't have his full repertoire, so to speak, with him using his legs either by coach's choice or by his choice. And he's got to be the guy that extends plays and tucks and runs when things break down in the pocket.
Well, I wasn't
numbers to get in for. Go ahead.
I was just going to say on the option, I mean, I was an option quarterback, and you've got to sometimes tuck it and run and pick up those 3 yards. You pretty well can bet when he runs the option, he's looking to pitch it from the start. As an option quarterback, you hit that into the line, you've got to cut it up, even if they're slow playing that end. If it looks like the linebacker's there, you've sometimes just got to tuck it and take the 3 or 4 yards instead of pitching it backwards. And at this point, maybe he's being directed to pitch that. Maybe that's the game plan. But it's an option game. The quarterback has to be the guy that makes that play, makes that guy make a play. And again, he is what he is. He's a great guy. I'm not knocking his character or his toughness. I'm just saying he is what he is, and for good or bad, that's how the season's going to play out.
The fan base has gone mad waiting for it to turn and be the good Adrian all the time. Phone lines are full. Let's go to Jack. Jack with us here on Real Red Reaction, Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline. There for you, 466-3776. Jack, thanks for your patience. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. I don't want to go crazy on Adrian. I agree he is what he is, and we wouldn't be where we are in a lot of games without him. That being said, going into next season, and I think this year is pretty much a wash at this point, but going into next season, I think the solution's not on the current roster at that position. I think that they would be wise to go in the transfer portal, find a transfer quarterback that can plug and play for next season. From an outsider's view, I don't think Smothers or Harburg is the answer for next season, and you can't do next year what you're doing this year. I don't think Frost is going to be fired this year. I think he'll be back next year, and at that position, we have to have some consistency in the fourth quarter, and we don't have that now. And I think the only way to get that is to go from the outside and bring somebody else in for next year.
Jack, thanks for the phone call. Good points, and appreciate you listening in. John with us on Real Red Reaction. Let's go back to the phones. John, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, fellas. Just watching you guys live. You guys are doing a great job. I think it's Bill that's right next to you, Chris. And when are you going to stop making excuses? I know we're fans, and that's short for fanatic, but there's no body language with Martinez. He can't win you games. It's just time. And you guys say that Smothers isn't the answer. How do we know? Have we given him a shot? Honestly. Has he honestly been given a shot? For the little bit that you've seen of him, do you know that he's not the answer? I think it's time. It's just high time.
I have not said, John, I'll just say, I'm not saying Smothers isn't the answer. You just had a caller check in and Jack say that he doesn't believe Smothers. I think Smothers has come in and looked 1,000% confident, and he had a drive going until it was penalty flag time against Michigan State. So I don't know if Smothers is the answer throwing the ball, but you can sure as hell put an offense together that uses a dual-threat quarterback and is serviceable to throwing the football. I'm not ready to punt on Smothers at all. I just don't know if you go forward with Smothers or not, if you let Adrian play out the string. That's the question for Coach Frost, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. That is a question for Coach Frost. I'm just curious how many times we're going to hear excuses in this post-conference. Here, I'm gutted for him. I'm sorry for everybody, too. But it's big-time college football. You either produce or the next man up. Whether someone gets hurt, whether you're not. I mean, honestly, guys, everybody talks about all his touchdowns, all his yards. It's simply because those plays are getting ran for him. It's just time. And again, I don't want to be end of the world guy. I really don't. Every time I call in here, and Chris, you laugh. I laugh too. But it's just time. You got to try something different. If Coach Frost is what I think he is, I think he'll come out in this post-game conference and he'll say everybody's job is up for grabs, and including our quarterback, because he's just not getting it done. So, and that's like I said, the guy right next to you, I think it's Bill or whatever. I appreciate everybody has their own opinion, but quit making excuses. Because that's all we've been doing for Adrian, simply because he is a great guy. But you know what? I work around great guys. If they don't get the job done, we get rid of them. So anyway, I know that's kind of a doomsday way.
My point today is look, I would love to see, and I say this weekly, I would love to see them utilize backups more, so that when the opportunity comes or the emergency comes, that those people are seasoned enough to play. I mean, I lived through that in the 80s and the 90s, watching Nebraska guys getting snaps, getting 70 snaps in practice, getting a few snaps in a game, so that if Matt Turman's got to go in and play the number 10 ranked team in the country in Manhattan, Kansas, in a hostile environment, he's at least not going to get rattled and can do exactly what they want him to do. But it bothers me to no end that you don't get backup players snaps in games so that you do know whether or not they're serviceable. So, would I love to see Logan Smothers just get some experience? Sure. Harburg? Sure. Matt Masker, for God's sakes. Absolutely. But as I said earlier, look, there is no Tommy Frazier on that bench as a freshman quarterback, as a sophomore quarterback, who is going to go in there and make a huge difference. Now, may they be serviceable? Sure, possibly. The offensive line without Prohaska is different than it was 2 weeks ago when the guy was in there against Northwestern. So, Adrian doesn't have necessarily a great offensive line.
We want today. The body language out of Adrian was bad today. His decision-making was bad. And nobody wants to hear everybody come in and complain, but those are the facts. I don't want to be complaining right now. I wanted him to make the right reads. He's not doing it. And you don't know. Coach Osborne did know if somebody wasn't getting it done, I got to try something else. He wasn't getting it done. PJ Fleck punted because he knew his best chance was to put the ball in Adrian's hands, because probably something was going to happen for Minnesota. Nobody fears that guy, I'm telling you. So, anyway, I'm not running anybody
Fleck
down.
Punted
I'm just saying enough
of
excuses.
several things, bud. A, is Adrian going to finally get it done? Odds say no. Fleck played the risk game. Is Nebraska going to be able to run the football? They've been hit or miss with that. To your point about Turman, Nebraska developed, and then also had insane talent, fair to say, around a guy like Matt Turman. John, appreciate you dialing in. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your passion, bud.
I would like to say something about when you say run-pass option, you got to be able to run the football, and that offensive line was not the same.
Can't run it when they have to run it.
You got to run the football. This offense has got to run the football for the other options to be there. And again, when Williams went out with that head injury, that changed the fourth quarter, I think, because he was having some yards. We were running the ball. Offense got into a little bit of a rhythm, but you want to go to the transfer portal. I'd go to the transfer portal for blockers. That's who I'd be looking for. If you want to go to the transfer portal.
Numbers to get in. Lines are full. Keep banging away. Lincoln Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline. Nebraska Orthopedic Sports Medicine Hotline. Number to get in, 466-3776, 466-3776 or 800-825-5865.
Let me follow up, too, and let's go back a year. Okay?
You did make a change.
He did make a change. Everybody in the country was, not a country, everybody in Nebraska was calling, let's see McCaffrey, because he was the sexy recruit. His brother's playing in the NFL. The guy's a great high school quarterback down the block from me in Colorado, and everybody wanted him. And what did they find out?
Can't throw.
That he can't throw, and he made some bad decisions too. Now, he was a part of the win over Penn State, but he got off to an awful start in that awful loss to Illinois at home. And what did they do? They went back to Adrian. And then Adrian played well last year in an ugly game against Minnesota. He was really the only bright spot in that loss to an 8-man team when Nebraska fields 11 in Lincoln. So to say Scott won't, Scott has. And that's just a fact. And
do you do it again?
Sure, but I'm just saying he has done it before. Everybody wanted to see it, and what they saw on display was not good enough, and he wasn't good enough to play at Louisville for a week, and now he's down at Rice. But it has been done, and if I would think that if there was somebody there that they would say, all right, look, let's just give this a shot, which I wish they would do. I do. I wish that they would put Smothers in when there's an opportunity, or Harburg, or Matt Masker, for Pete's sakes.
I asked you that, didn't I? I asked you that midway through the third quarter. Nebraska defense gets a 3-and-out to start off that third quarter. Actually, they get the interception, and then Nebraska goes 3-and-out on offense, and you're missing throws.
Yeah.
We'll hear from Scott Frost. We'll hear from Adrian Martinez. We'll hear from postgame in a moment. Elijah, we have Bob on the horn. Let's go to Bob. Bob, thanks for your patience. Welcome to Real Red Reaction. Go ahead.
Hey, as long as Scott Frost is, as long as Martinez is quarterback, I'm done with Nebraska. What a great pretender the guy is. He proves that all they can do is choke on the big ones. He did it again, so I'm going to find something else to do during that time. I'm through with Husker football.
Bob, I love you're listening to us and calling in, but you told us last year you were done with Husker football, brother.
Well, hey, I can't. Well, I keep thinking they're going to be a change, but I have no
you and the whole state, brother.
As quarterback. I have no
Bob,
respect or regard for Martinez.
Take care, Bob. Thanks for the phone call, buddy. Poor Bob. Bob is just he's so hungry, like everybody in the 1.9 million walk-ons. And yeah, we get emails. Our old buddy in Michigan that gave us a phone call from his trip to East Lansing. He's like, I'm done. Email this morning. I'm back in. It's Pacino.
Look, the game, to me, the game. There were a couple of moments. If was it Deontay Williams got the interception, right?
I thought he was going to take it to the house
and he crumbles with the knee injury. That's probably a pick six.
Yep.
Right.
But you got a twisted knee, and all of a sudden you're on the turf. Now Nebraska goes down. But I will say this: look, the if you cannot punch the ball in from 1 yard out with Nebraska, please don't call anybody a pipeline. Until they can actually prove that they can move the ball a yard with 3 downs. And you say and I'll back Scott. I'll back whoever Nebraska's coach is, and I back Scott. But I just don't understand how. And Kelly Stauffer walked by, and I'm not going to tell any story out of class because he said this on the air. How is it that you do not put your quarterback under center from when you're an inch away?
Everyone's screaming that.
And everybody says, every coach will say you have to practice for every contingency in a football game. Yeah. Well, if you run 99% of your offense out of a 5-yard snap in a shotgun or pistol, okay, but there is that 1% contingency when you may well need to get under center so that your center puts it in your quarterback's hands and he falls forward for an inch and has a big guy behind him pushing him into the end zone. That's my biggest criticism of Scott, and I'm sure that he probably would say, well, we run the shotgun. That's what we do every day in practice, and I didn't want to risk a fumble. Well, every kid who starts playing football at 7 years of age starts with a center exchange, and you just, if that's a risk you got to take, that you can't execute a center exchange snap, then you've got a problem. But Nebraska should have snuck the ball as many times as possible to move it 1 inch. And if they score that touchdown, this conversation is completely different.
They needed to get that touchdown. They had to have that sneak. They had to get it in from. It's second and goal from the 2 on the quarterback keep between the tackles, and you're right there after you get 3 consecutive stops, guys, and you're right there. And you're ready to take the lead, 23-21. Okay, we've hashed out Adrian, and it'll be interesting to see if all jobs are open or not going into Purdue. Do you still want to make the postseason? Can you still make the postseason? It sure as heck doesn't look like it because of what's left on your schedule you had to have today, and it's just been maddening. And Adrian's kept you in a lot of ball games, and he's cost you a lot of ball games. I think the guy is playing a little bit afraid to get hit, and that goes back to getting whacked at Michigan State. I think he's afraid to cut it up and get into contact because he's been injury prone. Okay, I'm not calling him a wuss. I'm not saying he's scared from trying to make plays, but I think there's so much indecision that creeps in that we talk about the quick blinker part of things, right, fellas? And that's a prerequisite to play quarterback for Scott Frost and Mario. He is slowed down that ability to see and then make a decision because he's afraid to make the wrong decision. And he's afraid to, all right, screw up. And then there's other times where he's like, forget about it. I'm just going to go try and make something happen. You get the other side of it where he's trying to do too much. So you've got a really awful oil and water combination that leads to missed opportunities, missed plays. Numbers to get in, the Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline. Here for you, Real Red Reaction. Bill Doleman with me, Chris Schmidt. We're here in Minneapolis. And Bob Kitsmiller back at the ESPN studios along with Elijah Herbel. Can email as well, Chris@HailVarsity.com. Our road show powered by Arrow Brokerage and Ferris Financial Group. Guys, let's talk kicking. We'll No.
Let's talk
Tim Bob's
about,
like, give me some tequila now.
No. Let me say something I saw in the past when a team came out and punched a Nebraska defense in the mouth, at least under the Scott Frost era, and even go back to the Riley era. The adjustments at halftime weren't there. You got to give this defense credit. Until they broke that long touchdown on that when they were trying to stop, the announcer said they only had 3 first downs the whole second half. After punching them,
they were 2 for 8 on third down.
Right. I mean, that defense made adjustments. Give the defensive line and the linebackers, secondary a credit. They made adjustments. They got interceptions. They got turnovers. This is a Big Ten defense. I really believe in this defense because they got manhandled in the first half. I mean, let's face it. They came out in the second half and really shut down this defense, this offense. That was just. I mean, they had a receiver that had a career day in the first half, 6 catches and 100 and some yards, and then the second half they shut him down. So I'd like to just go back and we can hash Adrian to death, but looking for a bright spot. This defense, these linebackers, they keep getting better. Now, granted, they missed some tackles late. I think that has to do with tired. When you've been on the field that long, it's tough to play defense that long. But I thought some really adjustments at halftime. Give the defense a hat tip.
They were better they were good in the third quarter and hung in as long as they could in the fourth quarter. They did not have much contact, in my humble opinion, without sneaking into practice this week. Michigan took a physical toll on them. They didn't go pads on Monday, and it showed. And there's a fine balance. You got to listen to your kids. You got to listen to your team. Time of possession, 38 minutes for Minnesota. Most of that was in the first half. 21 minutes, almost 22 minutes for Nebraska. And Nebraska's defense was punch drunk. They were beat up from Michigan. They were beat up from Michigan State. They were beat up from Oklahoma. Northwestern didn't beat them up, but we're talking the cumulative effect, and it showed because what we talk about, 9-10 first missed tackles in the first half, a lot by the second level, and mainly your safeties. All right, safeties had a good ball game in the second half to to give them credit. Kim Taylor-Britt saved Nebraska's ass a lot today on that blitz with the sack and then the incredible interception in the end zone. So he wasn't checking out. And then Nebraska's interior, they ran right at poor Ben Stille. When push came to shove, Ben Stille was in there, and Nebraska didn't clog that A gap. And Minnesota, to their credit, they were able to really find their rhythm again running the football. We'll get to kickers first. We go to Steve real quick. Steve's with us here on Real Red Reaction. Steve, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, Chris. Everybody else. Hey, one thing I know for sure, listening to Nebraska about the last 20 years, is that I don't know anything. I'm just kind of stumped. Last year I was one of those people that called in and said, you ought to bench him and play McCaffrey. So that tells you how much I know. But to me, Martinez kind of reminds me a little bit of T-Magic with a better throwing motion. But,
you gamble on the explosiveness, hoping you can hit a home run, because once you get to the 20, brother, it's all bets are off.
Was he recruited by Frost, or was he in place from Riley?
No. You had Adrian. There was a cross-country flight to get that they wanted to come to Central Florida. Adrian was going to go to Tennessee, then was going to go to Cal, and that's the guy that was the cornerstone that Scott wanted to build. In that quarterback room was Adrian, and to Scott's credit, he stuck with him. And Adrian's going to have a boatload of stats, but not a great winning percentage. And just you have that duality of trying to do too much and then not doing enough, and then ultimately not getting the wins.
Well, I think that I just want to go back to the Adrian Taylor Martinez comparison. I don't think that's very fair, because Taylor Martinez actually went and led scoring drives in crunch time. He went down and won games. He won 8, 9, 10 games a year. It doesn't matter if he had a bad throwing motion, because he went and won games. Adrian's got the problem of he can't perform in crunch time, and he's shown it time and time again. I said it this week on the Hail Varsity show. I wouldn't take any other quarterback in the Big Ten for the first 3.5 quarters of a game, but once you get to that final 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, I don't trust him at all.
You just can't lose or start a game like Nebraska did, and you just can't put yourself in this position with postseason hanging in the balance, Bill, to put yourself against the wall, and now you have 2 weeks of angst. Steve, thanks for the phone call.
Yeah.
We'll get to Scott Frost here in just a moment. Numbers to get in the Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline. Your stage right now, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. We've got to hit on the kicker in a little bit. No. You were going to say something before the phone call.
When you talk about kickers, I think of the other guys I worked with at the Mountain, Jay Lewenberg and Todd Christensen, and what they would say about kickers. But anyway,
Todd Christensen, God rest his soul, had the best mustache this side of Magnum PI.
One of the greatest guys ever. Tim was talking about the defense. I thought that one of the key moments in the game was when Row the Boat was just getting way too cute and cocky.
Oh, second quarter.
And that double reverse flea flicker thing that they were going to try was just them thinking we can do anything that we want to in this game, and it just seemed at that moment when Cam Taylor-Britt made that sack, drops them back 15 yards,
missed the field
goal. They missed the field goal, and they had all the momentum, but it just seemed like that was the moment where it just flipped a switch that defense was pissed. We're getting embarrassed.
They had to have something good happen.
It did, but it was also they made a good play on that. But it was just like we're mad. We're getting embarrassed, and we're not gonna take it anymore. And they give up 30 points. I get it, but that play I thought was a real game changer at that moment, and kind of set the stage for that second half, which was some really pretty good defense until 38 minutes of time of possession wore them down. But for the first part of the game, they looked like they were continuing, to get worn down by Michigan. As we looked in the fourth quarter last week, the first quarter this week. But I thought that too cute play was a mistake by Minnesota.
They're driving. It's 14-3. and then all of a sudden you get the missed extra point. We'll get there. Tim, Bob, I want you to weigh in just a second. Let's hit the calls real quick. Sam with us here on Real Red Reaction. Brad, stay on the line. Sam, go ahead. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I don't want to give anybody any worse news, but Scott Frost against the remaining opponents on the schedule is .08. There's a lot of other statistics you can pull out, but I think at this point it's not an anomaly and it's a modus operandi, and I don't know what to do with that information. So that's all I'll give you.
Yeah, he has not beaten the remaining folks on the schedule. I don't know that that's a Trev call, and I don't think it's a Trev call this season because you've seen progress. You've seen the team. We thought we saw progress. Let me refresh that. Elijah's. You guys got a cooler in there? Because
he must be hitting it. He must be hitting it. He's not sharing them. If he's got them in there, he's not bringing them into the studio. I've got to open the door and see if he's got a cooler in there, and he may be hitting the tequila. I don't know.
Bob, did you think Nebraska was going to come back and get this done?
No, I really thought Adrian is Adrian. I really did. I thought that third quarter when they didn't score that touchdown and take the lead, and then they missed the field goal. I thought, here we go again. I mean, on my phone is a text from Elijah that said, should have seen that coming. I mean, That was it. I mean, really. It is what it is, and it's a tough game. And every Big Ten opponent is going to show up and play you tough. I don't care, all the way down the line. Purdue's coming up; they're going to play tough. We've seen, Purdue manhandle us in the past. I mean, those are. Everybody in the Big Ten is going to play tough football, and you can't just show up and roll it out. And I don't know that this team understands that fully.
As exhausting as you are as the fan, you probably match the team after 8 weeks. Let's go to Brad real quick on Real Red Reaction. Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline. Give us a shot, 466-377-6800-825-5865. Brad, thanks for your patience. Go ahead.
Yeah, Chris, great show. Hey, when I look at the game and I look how the defense played in the first half and they were having their issues, and then they go in and make adjustments and they come out and they give our offense every opportunity to take a hold of this game. And I just sat there and go, I question the play calling at times. Martinez, I love the guy. He's a good football player, but in the end, I just don't know. And I called in one time last year, and I said, I don't know if he's a winner. I don't know that he's a winner. He's a really good football player. But when it comes down to making the play or making the decision, he's just never shown the ability to do that. And you asked me, do we have the right quarterback last year? And I went, I don't think we do, Chris. I just don't think we do. I think he's an awfully good guy. And we had momentum, and then we got down to down into the red zone. And then I questioned Scott's play calling. I'm like going, well, why do you put him in that position?
I questioned the result. You can complain about the play calling, Brad, and you're right. You're absolutely right to do so. There's also the execution part of it. And to be honest, Nebraska's O-line, listen, they need to get put on blast a little bit. They do. You had more penalties. You're 8 games into the season and you're still jumping off sides. You're missing blocks. You're not able to push Minnesota back half a yard. You have Adrian seeing ghosts because there's missiles coming off the edge. You got to get better on the offensive line. You got to get better at the running back position. And then you don't have to make it all about Adrian living and dying with him. And that's the flat-out truth. And as a coaching staff, you also got to get somebody in the bullpen ready and be able to go to that bullpen, have them developed, and do what they do well. If that's smothers, that's some run-pass option, that's some shorter routes, that's some quarterback keeps. If it's Harburg, maybe it's too soon for him. But you gotta figure out and just have.
Here's
You have to have an option B. Is what you gotta have, and this team doesn't, and his staff doesn't.
But Chris, here's what you've talked about, and you guys have all said it. When you're on the 6-inch yard line, if you can't put a guy under quarterback, and you got one of the best centers in the country, that's a bulldog. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. If you don't have confidence, put him under center and make that 6 inches, that 1 foot. That's the game. That's the game right there. And I love your show. And
hey,
you
buddy,
guys do
Brad,
a great job.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
It's the truth. You can line up Daniels right next to Adrian Martinez's back pocket by the Wrangler label in a 4th down and 1 inch to go. He doesn't have to be in the eye. You can have somebody standing right behind him in today's college football, and you can push him and push him and push him. And I would think Zach Duvall has created somebody who weighs 330 pounds that can push Adrian Martinez an inch. You know? And when you are snapping the ball 5 yards back, you are giving that defense a split second more to react to what they know is coming. When you're an inch away, you snap the ball and everybody's a go and everybody knows what's going to happen, and that is just man on man. That is rugby. And Nebraska, with the pipeline, the most famous offensive line unit in college football history, should be able to get an inch on 3 plays.
I agree.
And if they do, this conversation is completely different.
Yep.
Yeah, Adrian didn't look good, but at least they won. Right?
No, and that's what it's coming down to. All right, we are on a run. We're going to take a timeout. Elijah, you want to come back with Scott Frost? Sound good to you?
Yeah, we have Scott Frost and Adrian Martinez both ready to go. But Tim Bob, do you have something before we went?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
All right, Real Red Reaction continues. Scott Frost, his postgame shortly. More from Tim Bob, more from Elijah, more from Bill Doleman, Chris Schmidt. We are on site here in Minneapolis. Another loss for Nebraska by 1 score, 30-23. Rock Westfall chimes in. God bless Adrian. Good kid. Hug him. Hand him a master's degree. Show him the door. PJ Fleck is a better coach than Frost. Q Fat Parcells. Go hire him. This is the 4th bleeping year. Mistakes.
Houston, that's available.
Who's Fat Parcells? Rock Westfall.
The big tuna.
Bill Parcells.
Well, dude, no. You get him near an old country buffet, it's over. All right. More of your calls. Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline. Hit us up, 466-377-6800.
Charlie Weiss is available.
825-5865.
Mangino's still out there.
Maybe that's who.
No.
Let's just be straight. Kansas said, you know what, we've got a similar size in sweats. We'll just
Nebraska's got the guy.
Down
all right, Nebraska's got the guy. Just get a guy under center with an inch to go.
We'll get to more of your social media response as well at timeout. And then Scott Frost on the way with the Real Red Reaction, ESPN Lincoln, ESPNLincoln.com.
Who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
O'Reilly. It's Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. That means you can get up to a $25 gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of your Superstart battery. Return power, performance, and reliability to your car, truck, motorcycle, and more with Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Need furniture? Get up and hurry into Menards for a great selection and a free rug. Buy any furniture at $299 or more and get a free 5x7 rug. That's $149.99 in savings. Want a comfy new chair? Pick one up and get a free rug. Cozy up in a new love seat and get a free rug. Buy a couch or go big with a sectional and get a free rug. Get to Menards before they're gone. In-store only while supplies last.
Save big money at Menards.
Fall is the perfect time to get new vinyl replacement windows and patio doors. This is Kathy with Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Now that it's cooler and before winter sets in, let's get your new windows ordered. Now is the time to replace those old windows and start saving on your energy bills. You can buy more expensive windows from a bigger company, but you can't buy better windows from a better company than Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Set up an appointment with me today at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com.
With confusion around vaccinations, masks, and public screenings, it's important to know the symptoms of COVID and its variants. Fever is the leading sign, so make sure to use an accurate thermometer for your family. Only the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Non-contact thermometers have no clinical evidence behind them and cannot be relied on. Be vigilant and be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
Lincoln Children's Zoo presents Boo at the Zoo, the largest trick-or-treating event in town, sponsored by Linneman Charitable Foundation. Your family will love this merry, not scary night. This year, there are over 30 trick-or-treat stations filled with delicious candy and valuable coupons. Boo at the Zoo, October 26th through the 30th, from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Admission tickets, treat bags, and train rides can be purchased now at lincolnzoo.org while supplies last.
Coming up on a Monday on the Morning Hookup, we'll have our reactions and your reactions, Nebraska-Minnesota.
At 9:25, Evan Bland with the Omaha World Herald. He will join the show.
We'll also recap the NFL of the weekend that was. That and a whole lot more in the Morning Hookup, ESPN Lincoln.
It's as real as it gets.
Drink beer and watch football?
Real Red Reaction is live now.
The Nebraska Orthopedic Reaction Lines are open now at 402-466-3776. That's 402-466-ESPN.
Back in Real Red Reaction Show, Elijah Herbel alongside Tim Bob Kitsmiller, Chris Schmidt, and Bill Doleman up in Minneapolis, continuing to get your reaction on the Nebraska Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Hotline, 402-466-3776. That's 402-466-3776. Right now, let's go to Scott Frost's post-game press conference.
An outing like that.
I just told him, to be honest with him, we needed to show up and start a little faster than that, and little details got us beat. I know the guys are kind of tired of hearing that. I'm tired of saying that, but that's what it is, and we got to do little things a little bit better and get this much better, and we'll keep pushing to do it.
Scott, fourth and goal, no one. Did you guys consider going under center in that situation?
We did. I've watched every snap of their tape this year, and they've done a pretty good job against sneak. There's kind of another reason I didn't feel great about that play right then. I think he'd have been in if he hadn't stumbled in the backfield. So I think we were in the right thing. Didn't execute very well.
How big of a loss was it to have Ramir leave the game 2 plays before then, and how's he doing?
I wasn't concerned. Ramir will be fine. Wasn't that concerned about that because we've gotten some good play from some other guys. We just didn't execute that one very well.
On the 4th and 5, did you consider going for it before sending out Carmen Hill?
We talked about it a lot on the headset, and at that point I thought making the field goal only being down 2, the way we were playing on offense, that we'd get it back down there to have another chance at a field goal, and we would have if we'd have made that one. I'm kind of scratching my head with that one because we make a 50-yarder, then miss a PAT, so we got to be more consistent there. But we definitely talked about trying to go for it, and we did go for it on 4th down a couple of times.
You had the ball 4 times in the second half, had a chance to take the lead. I guess just like how frustrating is it to come up with 0 in those four chances?
Yeah, when you play a team like this, first of all, if you're ahead, you're in good shape. And the game didn't start very well for us. We had a couple guys open on the first drive and didn't connect and punted to them, and they went down and scored. And so we were playing catch up the whole first half, and they're going to snap the ball with 2 on the play clock, and you're not going to get a lot of opportunities. So we got to as a staff get them a little more juiced up to play. I didn't think we had quite the same energy, and that's on us. Yeah, and then we had every opportunity to be in control of the game after the third quarter.
Did they throw any wrinkles at you offensively in the first half, or what do you chalk up the defensive kind of the?
Yeah, I give credit to them. They had 2 weeks to look at us, and I thought they did a good job. In the first half especially, they were grinding us out in the run game and then hitting some hard sell RPOs and play actions off of that. And we didn't really have an answer in the first half. Thought they did a great job adjusting in the second half, and they were the better team in the first half. I thought we were the better team in the second, and got to get those balls in the end zone when we get them down there.
Your offense has had pretty consistent, inconsistent issues all season, maybe for a couple of years now. Now that you have a bye week, do you try to do anything midstream that can change some of the trajectory of your offense, struggling with the same kind of issues over and over?
Yeah, all I know how to do is keep detailing, try to put the kid in the best play as possible, and keep detailing. We had 2 false starts today. The one really hurt us. It was 3rd and 5. We had a run play call that I felt really good about. Even if you don't get the first down there, you're going to have a 4th and short. And we kind of called 1st and 2nd down based on that. And then all of a sudden you're in 3rd and 10. So that hurt one drive, missed a field goal on another, and got stopped on the 1 yard line. That's the game.
Did it surprise you that the first half coming out a little flat? And did you sense? When did you sense that?
I didn't know whether to be worried about that or not. The guys have been so professional and working so hard and preparing so well, and they did that all week again. It felt businesslike rather than a lot of hype, and I didn't know whether to be concerned about that or not because the guys have showed up ready to go all year, probably other than the first game, but they were mentally ready to go in that one too. And there wasn't as much juice, but we got more of a veteran team now that I figured would it looked businesslike, just not. It wasn't as much juice as we've had the last 2 weeks. We needed more juice, obviously, in the first half. For 2 weeks we've been playing in the best environment in college football, and the juice kind of comes along with that. And we needed to bring it ourselves today, and I think it was terrible, but we lost a lot of one-on-one battles in the first half. A missed tackle here, a missed protection here. A lot of plays that just kind of one-on-one things, and maybe a little more juice helps with that.
What's got to go different to prevent that safety from happening in that situation?
Well, I got to protect a little longer. We had Samari open down the seam. He had 2 quick options on the right, and then a couple deeper options on the left. I couldn't tell. I'd have to look at this tape to see if he can step up or not. But you definitely don't want to drift back into the end zone. That was a huge play, and we got to protect a little more consistently than we have all year. Because when we protect, you saw on the next drive, we protected well and went right down the field. And that's really how we want to play, with that kind of attack mentality. And it's tough to do if you're getting a sack for a safety. So we got to be a little better, just a little better.
You and Trev, I think you both mentioned about guys they need to see the reward of the work they put in. You've lost 5 games by 1 score. Do you worry about that now with 2 weeks before your next one, about where they're at coming out of this one?
No, we're all upset. I want this for the kids first. I want it for Nebraska second. I'm at the end of the list. These kids won't quit. We got too many good kids and too many good players, and they need a break. It has been a grind. That's not an excuse. Minnesota did more good things than us today, but they need a break, and I know they'll come back strong.
What have the last 48 hours been like for the program and for Eric in particular with losing his dad the way he did?
Yeah, it's been emotional. I've known Eric since 2007. We lived together in Cedar Falls. I've known his dad since then. His dad was a coach just like mine. My parents and his were good friends, and he's a good man. I know he would have wanted Eric to be here. That's why Eric was here. He would have wanted to see Eric win today, and I got to be a little better. Everybody's got to be a little better, but it's not easy, and the whole team and the whole Husker family is there for him.
Scott Frost, his post-game Real Red Reaction. Bill Doleman, Chris Schmidt live in Minneapolis. Tim Bob Kitsmiller, Elijah Herbel back in Lincoln. Your chance to dial up. You've had a chance to hear from Coach Frost and touched on the protection, touched on the juice, touched on the one-on-ones. What's the conversation like tomorrow morning with Trev Alberts? Trev and Scott meet every Sunday, and I'm not asking that as a grab a box and clean your stuff out of your office. That's not where I'm going. Trev has been a guy, a counselor, a boss that wants to steward, and he wants to mentor, and he wants what's best. And he's there to give hugs. He's there to have a stern discussion if there needs to be one. He's there to support and help. And Trev's also got his name at the stadium. So he's seen it all. And he's watching this right now, and he's also watched from afar. What can a guy in that position say to a head coach that keeps losing one-score games with an inconsistent quarterback, a field goal kicker that is just nuts. It's me on the golf. It's me on the tee box.
Yeah.
Legit. I mean, that's what it is. Bill, I want to go to you. Then Tim Bob wants your take, and then Elijah. You know, what's Trev's message of sanity tomorrow morning?
I think Trev, going back, I think Nebraska made the perfect hire in who it chose to lead up its athletic department. I've known Trev a long time, since he first came to campus from Cedar Falls in the early 1990s. Trev is all about business, and I mean doing your business. And I'm not talking about being a businessman. Trev is about getting your business done, taking care of your business. Trev is all about Nebraska. And I think that as long as Scott Frost is operating in a way that is honorable to the program, to the university, that Trev is going to have his back. And you and I have talked about this. I've talked about this with friends of mine at the stadium today. You know, Trev coming on board, when Bill Moose did what he was supposed to do, and that was hire Scott Frost, right? And he did it. I think maybe Scott had a little too much power as the football coach, and with that power came maybe some perceived freedom and maybe some undiscipline in building the program. And I don't mean that it was a fraternity house, but it was maybe there were some things that were just not detail-oriented. He talked about details a lot here, that maybe he was not focused on everything that he as a football coach needed to be focused on, and there was a little bit too much lax. With Trev Alberts on board now, Trev is about, I will back you, do your job, do it well. We know how this program has been built. We were both a part of it. We know what the attention to detail means and taking care of your business. And I think that as long as Scott Frost honors that, then Trev is always going to have his back. And, you know, are you going to have bad days? Yep. But if you get back at it and do your business and do it well and honor the program and honor the state, you know, Scott says, I wish he'd say I want it for my young men as opposed to kids. But, you know, he wants it for his team and he wants it for the state. And he's very clear when he says that. So and I think Trev understands that. I think they understand that in each other. And I think you just move forward and you get through it. You support each other. And you know that there are going to be better days ahead.
Jim Bob, good, well done, Bill Doleman. Real Red reaction going on. You want the support of your boss, but there's also a bottom line with winning. There's also a bottom line with performance, and your job is to put people in position to succeed. Let's open that treasure chest of special teams now. Coverage, way better. Kickoff, punt, they're doing their job. Punting, inexact, but better, all right, especially with the wind. And now we have field goal kicking. Play offensive coordinator for a moment, or head coach, Tim Bob. Are you kicking any more field goals this year? Do you just flat out move on and go Oregon or Mike the Pirate Leach and say, screw it, no more field goals? Because it's maddening.
It is maddening. It's. I think of my old coach used to say, any man who will put his livelihood and the future of his family in the hands of 18 to 20-year-old kids is a fool bound for disappointment. It's the fact that these are kids, and all that aside, I mean, the field goal kicker, I don't know, he's got the yips. He's like me on the golf course. I'm going to have a couple of great hits, and I'm going to have one to go, where did that come from? I mean, that extra point is a straight hook. I mean, that's me standing too close to the ball. I don't know if it's the same thing with the kicker, but I think you still got to try field goals. I mean, the Big Ten is it's a league where you win games with a field goal here. You don't blow people out unless, early season Ohio State, type of thing. I mean, you're going to have to win games with 3 points and a field goal kicker. I don't know if that means you go like we did a few years ago and go the soccer team and try to find somebody, but I don't know. I don't think you can continually go for it on fourth down and be successful in this league.
Elijah, your take on the O-line and follow up on the kickers, bud. I think this even goes back to quarterback. They're playing who they think is going to give them the best chance to win or they trust, but it's just really hard to trust anybody right now.
Yeah, and before I get into offensive line, I just want to say I don't think that this game is on the special teams or even on the kicking game. Whenever you have given your offense, 3-4 chances inside the red zone that you can't convert in the second half? Four, that's what I thought. Yeah, you gave your offense a whole bunch of chances to get into the end zone. Credit to Minnesota's defense. They held strong, but that's where the game was lost today, was the fact that Nebraska couldn't punch it into the end zone time and time again. To get to the offensive line, I think that kind of piggybacks on that point. They just could not get movement on a Minnesota defensive line. You contrast that with how much movement Minnesota's offensive line was getting on Nebraska consistently. I don't care if they're using 7 offensive linemen, because Nebraska's shown this year that they've also gone and used 7 linemen to go get pushed whenever you need, a yard at the goal line. There's things you can do to generate push on the offensive line. Nebraska wasn't doing those things. And then on top of that, Nebraska's offensive line, they're probably the worst position group so far this season in terms of where the games have been won and lost.
Consistency.
It's been Nebraska's offensive line with pre-snap penalties. Not as many holding calls this year, but feels like there's been some in some crucial times. And then just not being able to protect Adrian. Adrian was on his backside. It felt like a lot again today. That's been the story of this season, has been Adrian hanging in the pocket, delivering downfield, and taking a shot while he's doing it. And the offensive line it's consistently, time and time again, they're the problem with this offense. I think they were the problem with this offense not being able to move the ball today. Receivers were getting open. Adrian was occasionally overthrowing them, but the consistent theme was the fact that they were free rushers at Adrian Martinez, or the fact they were just guys getting off blocks and making plays 1 yard, 2 yards deep in the backfield.
Well, what happened to Toure?
They blanketed him, and they had 1 or 2 guys kind of on him, and I love Toure, but there's other guys open. Betts.
Manning.
Manning. You had Martin that was there early, and then not much. But I think your star is Austin Allen. And Bill would turn to me for every 40-yard catch and say, well, I had him as a 4th rounder. Now he's up to a 3rd. 3rd rounder, maybe up to a 2nd. Austin Allen's
26th pick, 21st pick, 19th overall pick.
Yeah. 5 receptions, 121 yards, a 25-yard average with a touchdown. Austin Allen. I mean, there's nobody so far in the Big Ten that's been able to cover that 6'9" target. It's almost impossible. The matchup nightmare that he causes, he seems to be the only player on this Nebraska team, barring Adrian Martinez on a scramble, that has enough of a size advantage and a skill advantage to get open with consistency.
That catch in the end zone was unbelievable.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. So,
yeah, a couple of Nebraska fans. That wine looks good. The red and the white, just to be clear. Our old boy Searles tweeting out, that's a bad loss, no way to spin it. Kids played hard, just not enough juice to start the game. Credit to the Gophers for being ready to play. Rest up, bye week, and finish the last four. Our dear friend Lars Anderson chimes in. Been spending a lot of time in Nebraska lately. I'd say 9 out of 10 fans support Frost. But at what point do you hold the coaching staff to account for the comedy of errors, the gaffes, the recruiting whiffs, the tactical miscalculations? And that's defined the Frost era. And it is this perfect storm of missteps.
Another one-score loss. You're
now 5-17. Take a drink.
That's what amazes me is you basically have 2 seasons worth of one-score games that 1 or 2 plays. I said this to you before. Nebraska was 2 plays and 1 bad quarter away from being unbeaten going into the Michigan game. And then the Michigan game, there's 1 really bad play at the end there that cost them a chance to win, and then today was probably as bad as the Illinois game.
But they were still a player or 2 away from being able to win this game. If Adrian was in at the 1 yard line, if Jacques was at the 1 yard line.
No, they were playing 2 away, fellas, from winning 30 to 21. Right. You make your stupid kicks. You hit an extra point. You cash it inside the goal line. Yant doesn't fall or fumble. You come out and play like you give a damn in the first half, or at least look interested, versus, bro, we're still sore and we need to ice up even more coming in post-Michigan. I mean, the defense, Bill, it was 2nd and 3. Elijah was 2nd and 3. Tim Bob, it was 3rd and 2. I mean, that's how the whole first quarter went, and the door was left open by, the PJ Fleck, I got to show how big my brain is. With the double reverse.
Go back to what Bill was talking about. I mean, that conversation with, maybe it was earlier in the week, I was listening to the show, and somebody talked about how Scott Frost is still learning. He's still a very young head football coach. And somebody said, I think this week, maybe this job was bigger than what his experience was, but I still think he's the right guy. I agree. I think that, he gets it and Trev gets it, and they understand what needs to be done, what needed to be done. And I think that conversation is, day by day, right? I mean, that's, you get better and you learn and you learn more from you learn more from rock bottom than you do on the mountain. And it's been a long learning process, but Scott Frost has made progress, and I think that's still part of the conversation he has with Trev Albert. We got 4 games. What do we do to go win them? And I think that's got to be your mentality, regardless of what the fan base says or whatever. You're still the guy that has to figure out how to win four games between here and Thanksgiving.
And that's a monster 4. And right now, I'm not taking my money or any of your money and setting it on fire to bet that. I mean, I just can't. But as crazy as this year's been, who the hell knows? Lathan chimes in. Play calling in the red zone was atrocious. Brandon chimes in. You can't blame Adrian. We'd have 1 win if we didn't have him. That is the riddle, isn't it? Just what the unknown. How much better could it be without the mistakes or minimizing the mistakes? And your point about a Mike Grant comparison or a Jerry Godowski, it's the Superman or the evil Superman where we're at. Let's quickly head to Twitter real quick.
Well, while you do that,
Twitter, that's a dangerous place to go today.
Right. Well, he's very selective. But, again, going back to Scott being a young head coach, he got into the business. This is where he wants to be. This is the job that he wanted. Everybody wanted him that year after he goes 13-0 at Central Florida. Florida State wanted him. Florida wanted him. And it was going to be Nebraska. And, again, Bill Moose did what Bill Moose was supposed to do, and that was get the big guy, the guy everybody has wanted for a decade, right? We knew how sexy of a coach he was at Oregon. Then he goes to Central Florida, and we say it's just a matter of time. And Bill Moose went out and got the big fish. But then Bill parked his boat, and basically, from my vantage point, said, "Okay, here you go," and that was that. Tom
That's
had
the caviar.
Tom had worked for Bob Devaney as a coach, and then Tom worked for Bob Devaney as an athletic director, and so he had that over him, and he had that person to go to. I'm not exactly sure, based on what I hear and know the previous administration. I think Bill did a nice job as Nebraska's AD when he was here, but I think maybe he just said, I bought you the car, Scott. Here you go. Take care of it. And now you've got somebody in Trev Alberts. Again, they meet weekly, which is great. Scott can't, Scott and Trev speak the same language. Nebraska, Nebraskan football, Husker football. And so Trev is not afraid, even though they are very peered in age, to be Scott's boss, Scott's mentor, Scott's director, and say, this is how we're going to do it, and I'm going to do everything I can to give you everything that you need, right, and to grow into your job. And I think that partnership will grow together. They may not become best friends, but I think they will be good coworkers. But I think Trev is very good at overseeing that program and allowing Scott now to grow into the job as Nebraska's head football coach. And sooner or later, these one-score wins are going to go the other way, and sooner or later, they're going to be the big wins like there was against Northwestern. And one missed kick is going to mean it was 56-7 instead of 59-7.
But what scares me is the fact that it's been 4 years of these one-score losses now. What is going to change to be able to fix this? You say,
but it's been just a few months of this of Trev and Scott that's the direction of this program going together. I think that's important.
I think there's important to realize. I heard an interview with Krzyzewski and Boeheim and other coaches basketball, and I realize it's a different thing. But every one of them, to a man, said, if I'd started my coaching career now, I'd have never survived, because I had to have time to learn and to grow and to build a program. We've got to understand, Bob Devaney and Tom Osborne. Listen, I'm old enough to remember when Tom Osborne couldn't win the big one, right? I mean, I grew up in Oklahoma, all right? I remember, Tom Osborne couldn't get over the hump. He couldn't beat Oklahoma. He finally got there, right? And it was a day-by-day, play-by-play, getting the process done. It's 4 years. 4 years is one group of kids through your program. That's not very many. Right?
Especially when half the kids are leaving in the transfer portal every year.
And it's a whole different world with the transfer portal. It's a whole different world than what Tom Osborne recruited to and what he could build on. And I say that 100 times, but 4 years is not that long. And look at the programs that succeed are the ones that have a relationship like Bill's talking about. They see the plan and they move forward. And I think that still has to be the overarching thing. As frustrated as the fans are, as frustrated as we all are with one losses, I still believe they got the right guy, and I think Trev Alberts is a great addition. I agree 100% with Bill.
Trev will make sure it works is pretty much my take on things. That may be some retooling, that may be some hard discussions, that may be some hurt feelings, that may be some very frank conversations about practice style, recruiting, and what you're asking of your kids. And those need to happen, because some things, that chain's busted with the execution part or the play calling part, or we've been talking trust for 1,000 years right here, going back to Oklahoma. and it's a domino effect with the quarterback, the offensive line, the running backs, the recruiting, who's been developed, who's ready, and whether you are willing to roll the dice and put a kid in who may not be a stud practicing, or here's 4 plays, hypothetically. I don't know. I'm not at practice, but here's hypothetically 6 plays Xavier Betts knows. Here's 4 plays Omar Manning knows. Guess what? They're averaging 38 yards a catch or run. In some instances, get him the football, coach him up, develop him, and a discussion. 3rd and 8 looks really good when you're hitting the first down to Omar on a dig route. You can do that. You don't have to overthink it, but you are going to overthink it if your offensive line or your guard gets blown up, or your quarterback plays 500 in the end zone and gets a safety called on him. So I can't imagine. Greg in Michigan checks in, and that's who we were talking about in hour 1. I got mocked by Coach Frost calling into the network show when I had a chance to ask Coach a question. He scoffed and said, all of them. I rest my case. Coach Frost is in over his head. I think Greg was touching on when he's talking about if he has any under center sets. And like all of them have an element of using the center under center versus going shotgun. Rob checks in. Schmidt, where do I start? Obviously, more than one play lost this game, but Yan tripping on 4th down, shy of the goal line, sums up the entire year on one play. You've got a guy that is good enough to play and get you yards, but, brother, he wasn't ready for the moment. It's short yardage, and he got to thinking because it wasn't rep, or he's not been in a tight ball game. When it got to cup check time, that will be different next time it's 4th and short, perhaps for Yant, but it cost him. And then it comes back to bite you. Why are you putting a guy who's not ready in on 4th and short? Why the hell isn't Yant in on 4th and short? I mean, you can't win. More from Rob. We're so close yet so far away. I didn't see any of the game today, but heard it on the radio from my combine. My observation through this is I've just had about enough of the offensive line.
Yep.
The play calling tells us they don't trust the line to move guys. I believe we've come out with a pass on every or almost every first play of the game rather than setting the tone early. I also don't know about what's going on at quarterback. Is that a reflection of Mario? Why do we have a quarterback guru with an average at best quarterback, with average at best quarterback play? Adrian has 3 voices in his ear: Mario, Lubick, and Frost. I'm going to add a 4th, Rob. Adrian's got his own voice.
Email a day from Rob, though. He hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head when he's talking about offensive line play, when he's talking about the fact that you have a quarterback guru who can't seem to get a quarterback right over 4 years. Adrian's shown progress, yet he hasn't shown the ability to go win games. And isn't that the point of being able to get your quarterback better, is to get him in a point where he can go win you football games? When you have a 4th year, he's technically a junior, but he's a senior. He's been starting for 4 years now. And in most other places in the country, when you have a 4-year starting quarterback, they understand how to get it done in crunch time because they've been there and done that. And Adrian has been there and never done that.
Numbers to get in. Real Red Reaction. Bill Doleman with me, Chris Schmidt. We're in Minneapolis here at the Graduate. Much love to Chuck and company for having us out here. Really fun shows. This is not it's a good show to be and interact with everybody, but everyone right now is reaching for more Jack Daniels. 30-23 Nebraska Falls. Can still chime in. We've got some more time for you. If you want to get in at 466-377-6800, 825-5865. Can email chris@hailvarsity.com or send us a tweet at Schmidt_radio, at Bill Doleman, at Herbal Essence. T-Bone, you're still off Twitter, correct?
I'm off Twitter. I'm on thing. But my stew is looking excellent, just so you know. It's simmering. I'm going to go back and add the green beans and the corn. And
so Tim Bob's coding us saying, hurry the hell up.
Yeah, man, my stew is
Tim Bob's gonna run for the door.
and let me just get this done.
Let me just say this. I love as a native Nebraskan, from the greater Fairbury metropolitan area with a bit of an ag background. I love the image of somebody out on their combine listening to Nebraska football on a Saturday afternoon in the fall. I think that's awesome.
It is awesome.
I'm feeling nostalgic right about now.
I feel so bad that it went so sideways for Rob and all the Nebraska fans. And I mean, what do you think here? About 5,000 Nebraska fans?
Yeah, it was an odd atmosphere. I thought. I thought Minnesota did a nice job of really pumping up the volume to their in-stadium speakers. They do a wonderful job of painting empty seats maroon to make it look like there are people there. And they said 40,000 people, and that might be accurate. There 45,000, but I just thought it was a late arriving crowd. It was loud in there, but I think that was a bit juiced. And Nebraska fans were sprinkled throughout the deal. And what I thought has been real telling, this is a wonderful hotel, the Graduate here on the campus of the University of Minnesota. If you're in Lincoln and Nebraska wins a game, you know it. Every building in the city, people are chanting, "Go Big Red." This is like we just got done playing a round of golf, and now people are just milling about going, well, okay.
Well, we get picked up. We get picked up by our Uber driver, and he's like, "Oh, there's a game." I thought the Vikings are on the road. I mean, that's totally Gopher football. That's why PJ and his buddy the judge that has continued to just cha-ching as he walks by us says, "Hey, let's get Fleck to USC." Fleck for all the heat he catches, the guy beats Nebraska. Email from Joe. I believe Scott Frost will get another year, but if that happens, everyone should be honest, acknowledge there is no reason to think we'll see any different results. I'm not saying it's impossible, just that there's no objective reason to expect better in 2022. It's true that if you squint real hard, you can point out some things that just maybe show they're about to turn the corner. And then Scott Frost coached Nebraska team reverts to its baseline of mistakes, missed opportunities, and poor coaching. Brennan chimes in, "By no means am I better at football operations than any Nebraska coach. But if we don't find a way to bring Allen and Vokolek into the game more frequently, does that put Fedoni in a position to consider a transfer?" Brennan, bite your tongue, sir.
Wait, let me just say something. You telling me that Austin Allen was not involved in the game plan today? He was the leading receiver. 5 receptions, 121 yards. He had 90 more receiving yards than the next wide receiver. You telling me he wasn't involved? He wasn't a part of it? I know 5 catches doesn't jump off the page at you, but he's still your leading receiver. He was still pretty much the only threat you have. I don't think that's going to send anybody to transfer whenever the fact is your tight end is the only consistent receiving threat that you have, and you are scheming up things to find your tight end. How many other college offenses in America are finding their tight ends on post routes over the middle? No.
Let's take a timeout. More calls for you. 466-377-6800, 825-5865. The Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline. Our friends at Arrow Brokerage and Ferris Financial Group powering this road trip. We are 0-3. We will be on the road.
I tried.
Yeah, it was a me thing. It was a me and Rob thing. It was a me and we're going to say Uncle Mark thing, and Uncle Andy going down to Norman. Right? Probably it's just a me thing. It's not an Uncle Andy.
There is a consistency there.
Yeah, me. So I am, for all of Husker Nation, I am not going on the road anymore.
And Tom Osborne did win a national championship until I started hosting his coaches show. So
I am not going on the road anymore. That's what I'm saying this year. As good as the road schedule is next year, we'll see. But we'll take a timeout. We'll hear from Adrian Martinez. Some last calls from you if you want to get in. And how are you going to chew on this as a Nebraska fan here? We've said this after Sparty, after Michigan, after some of the heartache this year, after Illinois. I mean, a lot of you were done after Illinois. A lot of you were done after the wrong guy punt, Michigan State. You were proud of him against Northwestern and Michigan. You've seen progress, but you've also seen the errors that continue happening. And I just don't. I look at poor Connor, the kicker. All right, I look at him. I see him in the camp. They'll do about 4 to 6 seconds of him on the sideline, and fellas, he just looks uncomfortable. He's in his own head. He's twitchy. I mean, it's just like I'm not putting him out there to make a kick, and then you do, and he hits a 50-yard bomb. And you're like,
that saved the game at the moment.
Right.
Yes, it did.
It was a huge kick.
And then it set the game on fire a few minutes later. So we'll take a timeout. We'll get to the top of the hour. We'll hear Adrian Martinez, his post-game Real Red reaction as we're here in Minneapolis. Chris Schmidt, Bill Doleman, Bob Kitsmiller, and Elijah Herbel, 466-3776.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Think you might have ED? Not sure? Well, we'd like to let you in on a little secret. ED is common. About 40% of men experience ED by age 40, but the solution is simple. Find it at 4hims.com.
I didn't have to talk to a doctor in person. There was no copay, and the medication was shipped right to my door in discreet packaging.
Hims took care of it fast and easy. Now our love life is better than ever.
Get access to doctors online who can prescribe you FDA-approved ED medication if appropriate. The same active ingredient as name brands, but 90% cheaper. Skip the waiting rooms and pharmacy lines. Get a free medical consultation and rise to the occasion or your money back. Go to 4hims.com/joy to get your first visit free. No copay required. The only way to get this special offer is to go to 4hims.com/joy. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, it's Chad with Nutrition Authority inviting you to try Max Pre-Blast. Max Pre-Blast is a fully loaded pre-workout for athletes and gym enthusiasts who want the most out of their workouts. Max Pre-Blast comes in 3 delicious flavors and will deliver you increased energy, focus, drive, and endurance to help improve performance. Max Pre-Blast can only be found at Nutrition Authority. So stop in, visit a certified nutritionist, try a free sample, and as always, get better than internet pricing. Remember, when you want results, the solution is simple. Nutrition Authority. Stop in, call, or check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Must be 18 or older. 1 winner per day in this Alpha Media nationwide contest. Catch some free money with ESPN Lincoln's Kickoff to Cash. We've got your chance to win $1,000 each day. Just listen each hour of the ESPN Lincoln Workday for the winning word. Then enter it at ESPNLincoln.com. It could be you winning the cash.
Here's to keeping it cash.
Kickoff to Cash.
Powered by Jet Splash Car Wash.
Win daily only with ESPN Lincoln.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Think you might have ED? Not sure? Well, we'd like to let you in on a little secret. ED is common. About 40% of men experience ED by age 40, but the solution is simple. Find it at 4hims.com.
I didn't have to talk to a doctor in person. There was no copay, and the medication was shipped right to my door in discreet packaging.
Hims took care of it fast and easy. Now our love life is better than ever.
Get access to doctors online who can prescribe you FDA-approved ED medication if appropriate. The same active
From
ingredient.
the John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Studios, this is KLMS Lincoln, the capital city's Husker Authority.
This is SportsCenter. ESPN Lincoln and Hale Varsity want you to get real.
The Nebraska Orthopedic Reaction Lines are open now at 402-466-3776. That's 402-466-ESPN. Or tweet your thoughts at ESPN Lincoln.
Elijah Herbel, Bob Kitsmiller, Chris Schmidt, and Bill Doleman all taking you through the Real Red Reaction show today. Connect with us, 402-466-3776. Actually have a caller in right now. If we go to the phone lines. Go into the phone lines real quick before we get to the Adrian Martinez press conference. The phone lines. Who are we speaking with here on the Real Red Reaction show?
Yeah, this is Brian from Superior, Nebraska.
Brian, thanks for calling, bud. What do you think?
Oh, I just want to say that, we still got a good team. We defense improved in the second half. We started off slow, but I think it's a letdown from the Michigan game. And, I just think that bye week could be good for us. And I think that, after we get a bye week, I think we'll be regenerated, and I think we'll be ready to go next week.
Brian, thank you for your positive phone call, for your optimism, and for your time, man. You've got a lot of folks just like you that are invested, and you got a lot of folks that are diehards like you that are absolutely drained and at their wits' end. It's like they need a bye week. We all need a bye week from Nebraska football, and we're all going to get it. It'll be interesting to see how this team responds and finishes out. But
honestly, I feel like our kids put so much emphasis and energy into the last few weeks. I just feel like going on the road, just like in the NFL, teams go on play at home, then go on the road, and then they come out flat. It's, they're kids, and, I don't think that this loss is indicative of how we are. We know we're a good football team, and we just didn't come out and play well today, and honestly, it's just it's part of the big grind that Big Ten puts on you. And, we can't take this loss and feel like we're not a good team just because we came out flat today.
Brian, thanks for the phone call, brother. Appreciate you listening all the way out in Superior.
Suburb of Fairbury.
I'm sure it is. 466-3776.
Down off the ledge. We appreciate it.
Well, Brian's, God love him, and Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline. Elijah, we're gonna take another phone call here. We'll get more of Real Red Reaction. I'm sorry, not my fault, brother. Nebraska fans turning and looking at me, palms to the heavens, going, "What did you do?" Who do we got, Elijah?
We got Ted on the line.
Ted, welcome into Real Red Reaction. Go ahead, bud.
Hey, thanks. I just thought as long as we have Billy D on the line, we ought to spend a little time talking about Norwegian biathlon. But before we do that, why don't we talk a little bit about the Huskers? I've been, normally I email, and I've been kind of a Frost apologist. And I want to say that this is an example of Frost being outcoached. There are certain coaches that seem to have his number. I think that the offensive play calling was pretty good, but Frost doesn't seem to have the ability to sense when things are changing and try and interrupt it. Momentum is not in his control always, and it's in no coach's control, but really good coaches know how to take the appropriate time out, know how to pull a guy out, talk to him, know how to try and get that thing reversed.
Ted, I think that's a great take. I mean, and you're not wrong. Nebraska did everything in their power to get momentum in that second half, Bill, Tim, Bob, and Elijah. I'm going to sneeze here in a second. Take the wheel, somebody.
Well, I wasn't paying attention because I wanted to talk Norwegian biathlon with Ted, because I think that's really what he called in to talk about. But his points are well taken. Go ahead.
Ted, finish the Norwegian take.
No, I just one of the things I really appreciate about Bill showing up on the program is his sense of humor, and he always has a way of bringing something just a little quirky into the conversation, and I just want to thank him for that.
Hey, Ted, appreciate you listening and emailing, bud. 466-3776 or 800-825-5865.
But if you're going to put any money on it, I think you got to look at Sturla Lodgreed. Had a great rookie season. The Boo brothers, Tarye and JT Boo. JT's won the last 3 or 4 World Cup championships. But Quinton Fillon-Maillet has now assumed the leadership of the great French teams led by Martin Fourcade for so many years. So I think on the men's side that those are the ones that you certainly look at. Norway, Sweden, and the United States perhaps will have somebody break through this year on the women's side.
Now, what could the Nebraska football team learn from the French biathlon team? Or French,
How to surrender?
You got to be on target if you're going to be a good biathlon, that's for sure.
Let's rock some Adrian Martinez here. Last call for calls with Real Red Reaction, Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline, and we'll have open phones on Monday for you as well, 466-37. Look forward to that. I'm bringing a quart of vodka, Elijah, and bring your own damn vodka this time. Here is Adrian Martinez, his postgame.
I wouldn't, at that point, say it was demoralizing. I would say we were obviously disappointed, but more, we know we can move it on these guys, so we're going to get another opportunity. Let's go make it happen. That was more the talk, the mindset on the sideline. It wasn't, wasn't that.
Do you think you were in the end zone on the previous play?
I definitely did. Going to have to go back and watch it on the tape, and obviously they didn't think there was enough there to rule it a touchdown. I know one of my feet were across the line. I figured I was in there, but I can't control that. Just have to play the next play.
How hard did you lobby on that 4th and 5 to go for it instead of kicking?
Well, it's not my choice, right? Obviously the players always feel like they can make plays, and that's no matter the circumstance. So either way, we had confidence in Culp to make that kick, confidence in ourselves to get that 4th down if called on.
8 games, 8 weeks. How you feeling, and what's your bye week going to look like as far as being healthy?
Yeah, not entirely sure what the bye week will look like. I know we gonna need some time off as a team a little bit, get our bodies going again, and mentally, physically recuperate and get ready to attack our last portion of the season here. For us, we're still not discouraged, but there's some evaluation we're going to have to do and fix some things.
It's probably the first defense that's been able to kind of prevent the big scramble from you. What did Minnesota's defense show you out there today that prevented that, and what was challenging about it?
Yeah, they had a solid pass rush. They were able to get up the field really well, and at times I had more confidence in checking the ball down than necessarily scrambling. Sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes those opportunities aren't there for you. And today I didn't think those opportunities were there. They also had a couple of spies on some 3rd downs. They did a good job of mixing things up.
On the safety, just which from your viewpoint, how would you explain what happened on that play?
Yeah. First part of my read was to the field. Felt that was covered, moved on to the boundary side, and didn't necessarily see what I wanted to, so I was looking to escape. Hindsight, probably should have stepped up in the pocket. I'm going to review the tape on that one and get it fixed. At that point, I was trying to get rid of the ball, didn't want to get sacked in the end zone. The result was the same. So.
Well, you're not a coach. I mean, you're very high on the what you want to see worked on in the bye week to get it better.
Yeah. It's tough. We just need to continue to get better. It's hard to point at one thing besides executing down there. There's 11 guys on the offensive side, and one guy can't make a mistake, right? Everyone's got to be on the same page, the amount of detail, attention to detail, and that's something we've been working on. It's something we know is a focal point for us. So we just have to keep pushing forward, have to continue to work on those things and go from there.
Obviously, a guy does not want to slip when he gets to the goal line. But when you see that and you see a guy, it looked like it was going to be a touchdown if he doesn't slip. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, sort of what I was talking about earlier. It definitely was disappointing, but not demoralizing. It's football, man, and some guys make mistakes. We got to continue to play through them. I know Yant would want that one back, and we would as well, but you can't really explain that, you know? I mean, what are you going to do about that? So, yeah.
You do see teams go more out of the gun after the 1 yard line than they used to. I mean, from a guy who's played as long as you have, could you kind of give the reasoning there? Because there's all sorts of people watching and say, well, why don't you go under center in that situation? I know it's not your call, but.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. For a team that's predominantly shotgun, we do work on under center snaps. We do have QB sneaks, things like that, but there are exchange problems you could worry about, and it takes repetition from running backs. It's hitting the hole is different out of the gun than it is when you're under center. You're different landmarks, different aiming points for handoffs, things like that, and those things have to be worked, and that takes time out of practice. Now, look, I'm not. I play on the team, and we run what is called. So, not sure. Maybe that's something we explore. Maybe it isn't. But we feel confident in what we had called there, and I'm sure we would do it again and have faith in our guys.
Thank you, Adrian.
It's Adrian Martinez, and that needs to have that needs to be a sit down, right? And I don't want it to end like Joe Pesci and Goodfellas sit down. But I want Adrian to say, why the hell are you calling this if I can't do it or won't do it or can't do it, right? And Scott needs to have a chat, and Luke needs to have a chat, and Super Mario needs to have a chat with, dude, you got to be better. And you've just got a guy that is afraid to make a mistake. I think he's afraid to get hurt. And then when he does try and let it rip, it doesn't always go well. Bill, jump in here. Our friend Brian Christopherson with 24/7 Sports tweeting out a pretty telling quote here in the postgame from Cam Taylor-Britt, one of the captains.
Yeah, first of all, I continue to respect Adrian Martinez for every week going out and answering the questions, and you may not like the answer sometimes, but he does it, and he's a man in that regard. No, Brian Christopherson tweeted out a quote. The quote is, "I saw it when we woke up this morning." And this is from Cam Taylor-Britt worrying about how the Huskers were leaving the hotel lobby. He says, "I saw it when we woke up this morning, and that's when I saw it. Even Coach saw it. He called it out, tried to address it ahead of time. That's one co-captain's take," and this is Brian Christopherson, and after the quote saying, "That's one co-captain's take on the lack of juice, a differing opinion on the early struggles," also shared in his story on 247sports.com. But Cam Taylor-Britt saying that he worried this morning that Nebraska didn't have what Scott Frost addressed in his comments. They just did not have the juice, which was, I think, something that we all kind of worried about after the last 2 weeks, but thought, and we talked about it extensively yesterday, given the tragedy with Eric Shenander's dad, that there may be, something that would, be inspirational to, to play honorably for their coach, and I'm sure that that was probably there too. But look, it's an early morning start. It's not it's better than Purdue, but the atmosphere is not what they played in the last couple of weeks, and Scott said that. But it's troubling when guys wake up and they're looking around, and collectively, it's one thing if you see a couple guys that may not have it. But when you look at the whole team and you go, wow, this just isn't feeling right. And I was thinking as I was reading this, it goes back, there were a couple of times when I was at Husker Vision and working Coach Osborne's shows, and, we only had the 3 losses. So there's, you could look back, and there weren't that many bad performances and wins either, where you didn't have it, but you still kind of squeaked out a win. But the Arizona State game in 1996, one of Scott's first starts, that whole trip was funky. And Arizona State had this Frank Kush retirement honoring ceremony or whatever at the stadium on the field. So our walkthrough was like at 9 or 10 o'clock the night before the game, and it was a night game, but still threw the whole schedule off. And then the Texas loss later that year in the Big 12 championship game. Terrell Farley had been suspended. Ryan Terwilliger was starting at the right side, and
Minner moved to linebacker.
Right, and our plane was late or went to a different airport, got there in traffic. It took us like 2 hours to get from the airport to the stadium for our walk through there. You're just going, and everybody was sick. Oh, the flu bug going through the team. And this just does not feel right, either one of those games. And sure enough, things did not go well. But it's troubling when a player wakes up on a Saturday morning and sees a collective demeanor from his teammates that's not conducive to victory, and it's what plays out.
They needed proof of concept. They needed one of those ranked ball games to get him over the finish line, guys. I think it's as simple as that because of all the energy, the ups and downs, and the continual. I mean, they've shown a ton of backbone. They've shown amazing heart.
It's been a brutal schedule.
They've shown the ability to rally and have each other's backs. They just haven't finished. And this may be – I don't think they're going to quit. I don't think they're going to tank. I just don't know that they maybe find one more win. I think this had to happen today for postseason. And you can sell out for Iowa. You can sell out for the super seniors. But if Cam Taylor-Britt is saying, look, man, it was just something odd, they were mentally and physically exhausted going into this ball game. It was just too much for them at this point in their tenure with this staff to do 8 weeks. And they got to get better to be able to withstand that. You let the third place string I-back run for $127, Tim Bob. You let Captain Morgan go for, what the hell did he do? He stirred the drink. I know
224.
224 for 209. He tried to give it back to you with 2 picks in the third quarter, but he still was on fire, and he looked like he had a cigarette and a blindfold on most of the season.
Yeah, I mean,
he went off.
Well, I mean, this morning y'all were talking on the show, said you didn't expect him to come out there and throw the ball over the field. That's exactly what he did. So, I would say for Cam Taylor,
no pass rush.
Yeah, no pass rush. Didn't have any pressure. But for me, tells me what kind of character Cam Taylor-Britt has, because he turned that ball game around in the third quarter. We talked about it earlier in the show. So he realized his team needed a juice. They needed a captain to step up, and he did. He stepped up and made some plays and turn that third quarter around. But as I'll say, Adrian Martinez said, it's 11 players. Everybody's got to do their job. I do wish that he had a little more fire to say, hey, coach, let's go for it. I mean, that's when they have the buy-in from the players, when the players are saying, I can do this, and the coach believes he can.
I had the kicker's helmet. Right.
I've got the kicker's helmet. Take the kicker's helmet. I can get it done on fourth down. But, it is what it is. It's
all good. Elijah, final thought as we say goodbye, bud.
Yeah, as I'm looking through the box score here, I think one of the telling things, I know Nebraska's defense turned it around, but I'm seeing 2 things when I'm looking at these defensive stats. One, Nebraska only 1 sack, and it was that Cam Taylor-Britt weird reverse play where P.J. Fleck was trying to do too much. Nebraska could not generate pressure on a straight drop back. That showed today. And also, Nebraska, 45 solo tackles on defense. 45 times it was one guy bringing the Minnesota ball carrier to the ground. As for Minnesota, they had 29 solo tackles. So Nebraska with 16 more solo tackles than Minnesota. And Nebraska also on the field, the defense for 38 minutes compared to Nebraska's, I believe, 27 minutes of that's bad math. 22 minutes of offense. 22 minutes of offense for Nebraska, 38 minutes for Minnesota. There's the difference.
Someone's going to puke tonight because of the drowning their sorrows, and they're also going to get sick when we talk and find out yards after contact. Yeah. If we're talking solo tackles, and it was a lot of 2nd and 3. That'll wrap us up here from Minneapolis. Big thanks to the graduate. Big thanks to you and all the calls and the input and the social media.
Before we go, we have one person on the line here. Let me answer the call.
Okay. All right. I thought we were going to escape.
Somebody wants to talk kicking.
All right. No worries. 466-3776, 800-825-586. Asher, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hi. I was wondering if you think that because of this game we might not be able to get into a bowl game, or if you think this game doesn't matter really for if we get into a bowl game.
Asher, thanks for listening, brother. They needed to win this to get in. They still have opportunity, but that means they go win in Madison. As bad as Wisconsin's been, I don't think that happens. Maybe they come back against Purdue. Purdue's tied with Iowa at half right now because Purdue crazily has Iowa's number. Kind of like Fleck has Nebraska's number.
Purdue has the lead. Purdue's up.
Purdue is up.
14-7.
It's time for a shot and a beer then.
Look, here's the deal. Nebraska has to have 6 wins. And because I think Asher has a really cool name, and I appreciate him calling in, Nebraska's going to win out. They're going to get to go to a bowl game. They'll get their 6 wins, and that's me wanting to make sure I continue to get passes. But, Asher, I appreciate your Husker optimism, and your folks gave you a cool name. Nebraska will get it 6 wins, and we'll go to a bowl game. Chris is a bad guy. He's
I've always been evil.
He's raining on the parade.
Well, I'm a bad guy and I'm a bad father because the text message from Junior is Nebraska sucks. So,
I love the guy listening on the combine too.
That's awesome.
This has just been a wonderful day of nostalgia.
Another phone call, correct?
No, we're
oh, okay.
But I would like to bring up one point. This was a premonition tweet I had last week. I said that when an undefeated Iowa team comes to Lincoln on Black Friday, they'll have their playoff hopes crushed by a 5-6 Nebraska team. Game. They'll have their playoff hopes crushed by a 5-6 Nebraska team. It's still on the table.
The Big Ten will not let that happen.
Be a lot of targeting calls in that game.
All of a sudden, the first, second, and third team was ejected in the half. Tim Bob, appreciate you, brother. Elijah, you're awesome for all the work, man. Thanks so much for making this go on the road. Bill Doleman, the brother Fairbury.
Yeah,
appreciate
one
you.
of my favorites.
We are wrapping up here. Real Red Reaction, Nebraska Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Hotline. We love you. Big thanks to Arrow Brokerage. You guys are incredible with the road shows this football season, and Ferris Financial Group as well. Check out the podcast. Check out the StreamYard, and we'll talk to you Monday. Open phones with Hail Varsity Radio. Take care. Be safe, and we'll see how this bye week treats everyone. And we'll see if Nebraska can yet again rebound. Take care. Have a good rest of your weekend.